Islam calls for embracing diversity, a divine law, and fostering dialogue with all nations. Ignoring this leads to division. Justice sustains nations. Blind imitation stifles faith. Ijtihad, reasoning, is vital to adapt Quranic principles to modern challenges. Sunni-Shiite division arose from claims of Quranic distortion and infallible leaders, not loyalty to Ali. Extremism breeds personality worship. The Prophet, peace be upon him, protected Christians' rights, allowing prayer in his mosque. Coexistence is Quranic. Salafism's rigidity contradicts divine mercy. Renewal requires purging distortions and reviving Islam's ethical role in justice and societal progress. Reformists stress balancing tradition with reason, rejecting stagnation for adaptive jurisprudence. Conclusion: True Islam thrives through dialogue, flexibility, and intellectual courage, rejecting extremism. Watch the video and follow the channel to discover all the facts.
The Islamic World Today, a call for understanding and cooperation. The Islamic world is called today to extend the means of communication and acquaintance in the broad and profound Quranic sense, and to engage in cooperation and dialogue to the fullest extent with all the peoples and nations of the world. This is the choice of the wise and rational minds in this world. Among the divine laws, Sunan, is the law of difference, which pertains to the universe. The Holy Quran speaks of the differences among humans and creatures to affirm that diversity is a divine law and that the variety present in the universe is intentional. Our failure to understand these laws is behind much of the confusion we experience when interpreting certain matters. These laws require awareness and effort, and Allah does not grant favor to anyone at the expense of His laws, whether they are Muslim or non-Muslim. Ibn Taymiyyah states, "A just state endures even with disbelief, while an unjust state perishes even with faith." Sheikh Amin al-Khuli's call within the modern exegesis movement emphasized studying the Quranic text as the supreme objective. He considered that all the profound meanings one may derive from the text can only be attained through a clear and correct understanding of the sacred text, and through analyzing its miraculous nature in a way that touches the depths of the human soul. Dr. Abdul Mawati Bayumi asserts that those who sanctify jurisprudence, fiqh, as if it were religion itself, confine religion within the stagnation of rigid imitation and contribute to its isolation from life, preventing it from guiding human affairs. The Quran condemns those who uphold the banner of blind imitation, saying, "Indeed, we found our forefathers following a religion, and we are following in their footsteps." Surah Az-Zukhruf 23. Scholars of usul, Islamic legal theory, have long stated that texts are finite while occurrences are infinite. Thus, there is a necessity for ijtihad, independent reasoning, to derive rulings for new situations from existing texts. Those who rigidly adhere to imitation are, in essence, stifling religion, much like an animal that kills its own rider. Imam al-Qarafi remarked, "Perpetual rigidity in adhering to transmitted texts is a deviation in religion." Dr. Ahmed Okasha, the president of the World Psychiatric Association, states about Salafists, "Salafism stands against the movement of the universe. Allah, the Almighty, embodies justice, mercy, and flexibility. To follow the exact path of predecessors contradicts the dynamism of life. The tolerance of divine religions has allowed them to adapt to societal progress and scientific advancements. While external forms and methods have evolved, the essence of religion remains intact." Dr. Taha al-Dimyati comments on those who curse people of other faiths, stating, "Cursing is essentially a form of exclusion from Allah's mercy. This is not within the rights of any created being. Admission to or exclusion from Allah's mercy is solely His prerogative. governed by his will and power. Whoever usurps this divine right and claims it for themselves shall have no reward but hell. We recall this wise statement from an esteemed scholar of Al-Azhar in response to what we heard yesterday from another Azhari scholar who, during a lecture before a large assembly of Muslims, questioned, "Do we even have hope in paradise?" This is a statement that fuels extremism and sectarian strife. Many crises have arisen due to the conflation of truth with falsehood and the deviation from the guidance of the Quran and Sunnah, leading to divisions and conflicting opinions. The greatest tribulation that befell the Muslim community was its division into sects, splitting into Sunnis and Shiites. This division did not originate from disputes over allegiance to Imam Ali, may Allah be pleased with him, or the al-Bayt, as this is a given among all Muslims. Nor did it stem from the Jafari Shiite belief that Ali was more deserving of the caliphate than others, as this belief is shared by Zaydi Shiites and has never led to discord between them and al-Sunnah. Rather, the division arose from allegations of Quranic distortion, claims of infallibility that granted non-prophets the authority to restrict or annul general Quranic rulings, and the rejection of certain hadiths authenticated by the companions. The discord was further ignited by claims that divine revelation had decreed the imamate of the Shiite leaders after the Prophet, peace be upon him, and that the companions had betrayed this decree. Thus, recipients of religious knowledge must possess awareness and discernment to avoid slipping into extremism. When some Muslims linked religious values to imams, factions emerged that deviated from Islam, blindly following their leaders and attributing infallibility to them. This led to the spread of personality worship, verging on the borders of polytheism. Others linked religious values to saints, absolving them of religious obligations and elevating them above the prophets, which led to deviation from Islam. Some fell into the traps of pantheism, incarnation, and monism, straying into the valleys of misguidance. In the 20th century, Arabs linked ideological values to political leaders, leading to the rise of political tyranny. These values perished with the fall of their leaders. Returning to the original discussion, we assert that takfir, declaring others as disbelievers, was never a principle among the pious predecessors, and is not a legitimate objective, as some claim. There exists a common ground among humans, despite their differences, where they can meet, cooperate, and learn from one another. Knowledge and enlightenment serve to dispel falsehood, leaving it to vanish. The delegation of Najran Christians visited the Prophet, peace be upon him, in his mosque. When the time for their prayer arrived, they prayed in a corner of the mosque, facing east toward Jerusalem. The Prophet did not prevent them from praying, saying, "Leave them be." The Prophet, peace be upon him, wrote them a document stating, "To the people of Najran and its surroundings belong the protection of Allah and the covenant of Muhammad over their wealth, lives, lands, and faith, both those present and those absent. No bishop shall be removed from his bishopric, nor any monk from his monasticism. The conduct of the Prophet, peace be upon him, and his companions toward the people of the book, who upheld their covenants and treaties, was based on good relations and mutual respect between Muslims and Christians. The Quran affirms this in verses, and they will come forth before Allah all together. Then the weak will say to those who were arrogant, Indeed, we were your followers, so can you avail us anything against the punishment of Allah? They will say, If Allah had guided us, we would have guided you. It is all the same for us whether we show intolerance or endure with patience. For us, there is no escape. Surah Ibrahim 21. Thus, it is necessary to clarify religious authority through renewing the nation's creed, purging it of distortions and deviations, and restoring Islam's effective civilizational role in promoting good, forbidding evil, and true faith. Without this, neither the Islamic civilizational project nor doctrinal foundations can be realized. In her book Islam and the Challenges of the Era, Iqbal Baraka engaged in dialogues with scholars and intellectuals concerned with the renewal of Islam and addressing contemporary challenges. Dr. Mustafa Mahmoud affirmed in his discussion that the claim, "there is no ijtihad where there is a text," is erroneous. Ahmed Hassan al-Bakuri explained that the door of ijtihad remains open until the end of time. Zaki Naguib Mahmoud took a balanced stance between reason and tradition. Meanwhile, Abdul Razak Naufal emphasized that rejecting ijtihad contradicts Quranic rulings. Lastly, Ahmed Kamal Abu al-Majd highlighted the necessity of a new ijtihad and jurisprudence suited to modern times.